Good evening. Thank you for joining us for our annual reorganization meeting. I would like to call this meeting to order. In the event of an emergency and we need to evacuate the building, we can go out door 6. We could also go out the main library entrance, go to the right or the left. Please move away from the building as far as possible. Thank you. Would you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The flag was up there. I would just like to let everybody know that Mrs. Mainville is joining us virtually this evening. We will move to action 1.04, appoint the district clerk. If somebody move that, please.
Move it.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 7-0-0. Action 1.05, appoint the temporary chairperson, which will be myself.
Move it.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 7-0-0. Jen, can you hear us?
Say that one more time. There's a delay.
Can you, oh, so you have a delay?
Just a small one, yes.
Okay, I will slow down a little bit. Let me know if it's too much of a delay or if you don't hear me at all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Action 1.06, we have a roll call of our board members. Mrs. Abelgore, present. Mr. Connors.
Present.
Mr. Crandall.
Present.
Mr. DeJour.
Here.
Mrs. Hutchinson.
Present.
Mrs. Mainville.
Present.
And Mrs. Prawl.
Present.
We're at our administration of oath and code of ethics. There should be something right in front of you. For our oath, it says, I do hereby pledge and declare that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the position of the Fulton City School District Board of Education member according to the best of my ability. Please sign it and date today. Today is July 9th. And then the school board code of ethics, I'm not going to read through that, but if you guys want to take a minute to read through that and sign and date today. Mrs. Mainville, you can sign yours at the next board meeting.
Yes, thank you.
Take these. Yes, we will collect them at the end and give them to Mrs. Perry. Everybody else up? Okay. Action 1.08, the election of the 2024-2025 officers. I am going to open the floor for nominations. What I will do is I will ask for nominations, and then with whomever we get nominated, we'll just go through and do the vote alphabetically. So for president, is there anybody who wants to make a nomination for this year's president of the board?
I'll nominate Fallon Cooper. Hutchinson.
Okay. Is there anybody else?
I'd like to nominate Brenda.
Any other nominations for the president of the school board? Okay, at this time then, we will close the nominations. I'm going to go alphabetically.
Oh, excuse me, before you do that, I'd like to hear the qualifications that each of the people that were nominated bring to the table.
Okay. Mrs. Hutchinson?
Okay, wasn't clear. So I have served on the board as vice president previously, trained up under Mrs. Griffin. I served my first term extensively. I've always been an advocate for our city and our school and our staff. I'm active in all of our committees, and I don't know, I'm not prepared. And I attend conferences when I can. I eagerly participate in any type of committees and meetings that I am able to attend.
Okay. I am in my third term on the Board of Education. I have currently served 2 years of vice president, and then last year was my first year of serving as president on the board. I have been involved in numerous committees here with the Board of Education. I travel to conferences around the state, as well as virtual conferences that we have to attend. I was one of the first people to bring our student board representatives to our table. I enjoy serving, and I know that last year was my first year, and I think I have a few projects still to work on, and if you will have me, I wouldn't mind serving as your president again this year. Okay, any other questions or discussion? All right, so alphabetically, Brenda Abelor for president. All those that would be in favor for Brenda, please, let me, I don't know, should we do raise of hands just so that I can hear?
Sure, raise of hands sounds
Okay,
good.
does that sound good, raise of hands? Okay, so all those in favor for Brenda Abelor? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Jen?
Yep, her hand's up.
Okay, thank you.
My hand is up. Yes, my hand is up.
Okay. So that is 4 for myself and Mrs. Hutchinson?
No.
All right. So we're in favor of 4, that is a majority vote. I will be the president for next year. I appreciate your support. Thank you. Moving on to vice president. I will open the floor for nominations for vice president.
I'll nominate Nick DeJalorme.
Nick DeJalorme.
I nominate Fallon Hutchinson.
No, Fallon Hutchinson.
Who was that? Sorry, I can't.
Fallon Hutchinson from Nick.
I nominate Jen Mainville.
Any other nominations for vice president? Okay. Any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to know what qualifications each person brings to the table. I'd like to know how many conferences and training sessions each one has attended throughout the years that they've been on the board. And I'd also like to know the amount of time that they commit to the board.
Okay.
On a weekly or a bi-weekly basis.
So we will start with Nick. You can go ahead and start.
Okay. I'm in my 4th year, going into my 5th year on the board. I attend, if not all, the majority of conferences, training sessions in person. If I can't attend in person, I am online. I attend webinars. To put a number to the amount of time that I contribute, I would say probably 20 hours a week between meetings, looking up questions, talking to NISPA about any questions that I have. I've attended every annual conference. I attend the rural school conferences. I attend the small school conferences. I have leadership abilities. I've been a leader in the military, and I think with the amount of time and effort that I put into the board, the number of meetings that I attend, I don't know that I've missed one. If I have, it's only been one. And so I think it qualifies me. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Hutchinson.
How can I compete with that? Again, I am in my 4th year of the board. As I previously stated, I've served as vice president under Mrs. Griffin. I regularly attend all of my committee meetings. Nick does outweigh me by all of his committee and his trainings that he's able to attend that I am not able to attend as many as him, but I do participate in our all of our meetings and our conferences as well.
And Mrs. Mainville?
I am in my 4th year on the board. I serve with respect, concern, courtesy, responsiveness, and carrying out our mission for the Fulton City School District. I'm diplomatic. I'm able to help facilitate agreement amongst diverse individuals. I'm an effective communicator, listening skills, transparency, honesty, and I will always put our students' interests first. I am not retired, however, I make the time to make sure that I give my all to the Board of Education. I will not bite off more than I can chew, and I feel that I would be doing our community and the Board of Education right by running for office. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we will go ahead and do our vote. Again, we'll do them alphabetically. All those in favor for Mr. DeJalorme? All of those in favor for Mrs. Hutchinson? No? Are you shaking your head no?
Yeah, I'm shaking my head.
Do you want to? Okay.
I'm just gonna say
Okay. All right. And all those in favor for Mrs. Mainville? Okay. And Mr. DeJalorme with 4 votes will be this year's vice president. Thank you, everybody.
So he is not going to resign then? I take it?
Would you like to answer that question, Mr. DeJalorme?
I'm not going to resign.
He is not resigning, Ms. Mainville.
Thank you.
All right. So we're going to move that resolution. Would somebody like to move the nominations of the president and vice president?
Move it. Second?
Who's first moved, Bailey?
Yep.
Family.
Okay. All right. And I'll read this real quickly. Whereas the Board of Education members have taken and signed the oath of office and the school board code of ethics as required in the board policy number 2160. Therefore, this Board of Education held election for officers. The results of the election are Brenda Abelvor as president and Nicholas DeJalorme as vice president. Be it further resolved that these oaths of office and code of ethics be filled with the records of the Board of Education of the City School District, City of Fulton, New York. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 7-0-0. Action 1.09, voting delegate and our alternative for NYSBA conference. Mr. DeJalorme, I know, has done this in the past for us. Mr. Crandall, I think you have as well. Mrs. Hutchinson? Okay. Mrs. Perry, do you know if this is going to be virtual again? I see that seems to be the trend that we've been doing lately.
The NYSBA convention, New York City.
No. When they do the.
When they do our voting delegate, they've been doing it the week
Resolution.
Oh, then I don't
prior.
know. I haven't seen anything, but I'll check.
Okay, so keep that in mind when you're deciding if you want to be the delegate. Mr. DeJalorme, I think you said it was online last year.
It was online
You went
last year.
quite some time, so it is a lengthy
Over 8
process.
hours.
For 8 hours. Phew. And I know it used to be held at the conference in October, but Mrs. Perry will check on that. Is anybody interested in being the delegate? Because we don't actually know the actual dates
Of the conference?
of the actual, when they're going to do the meeting.
It's usually, so the conference is, what did I say, October 19th, so it's usually like
The Monday before.
Yeah.
it's pretty close to when the conference is gonna be.
Anybody interested?
I am.
Okay.
Was that it?
Yep,
And do we have an alternate?
we should, but you know what? I should go back and ask somebody to,
Nominate.
move forward with this resolution. Would somebody move it?
Move it.
Second.
So it was Nick and Tim Crandall, right? Okay. So now Nick will be the delegate. Would somebody like to be the alternate in case Mr. DeJolorme does not? I will. I'll be the alternate.
Did we get an alternate?
Yeah, I'll do the alternate.
Okay.
Because it's, now that it's online, I should be able to. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700.
We should wait for Jen.
Oh. I didn't want to go too fast. All those in favor? Jen, are you good? Okay, 700. 700. I forget there's a lag. Sorry. Action 1.10, appoint the deputy district clerk. Somebody move that.
Move it.
Or second.
Tim and Tim. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 1.11, appoint officers.
Move it.
Second?
All of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Passes 700. Action 1.12, other appointments. Somebody move that.
Move it.
A second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Yes, I am, okay. Action 1.13, our appointment of our committee on special education.
Move it.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 1.14, appoint committee on preschool education.
Move it.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 1.15, dignity for all students coordinators.
Move it.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 1.16, the school law firm.
Move it.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 1.17, bonding of personnel.
Move it.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 1.18, official bank depository, all funds. Does somebody move it?
Tim.
Okay, Tim Connors. Somebody
Second.
Tim Cran.
I had to beat Tim once.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 1.19, the official newspaper.
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 1.2, person to certify payroll.
Move it.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 1.21, purchasing agent and agent for temporary investment of funds.
Move it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 1.22, attendance at conferences, conventions, workshops, etc.
Move it?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 1.23, Authorization to establish petty cash funds.
Move it.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 1.24, startup fund.
Move it.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 1.25, designation of authorized signatures on checks.
Move it.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 1.26, authorization to approve budget transfers.
Move it.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 1.27, authorization to access safety deposit boxes.
Move it.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 1.28, bank as school, authorized bank as school tax collector.
Move it.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 1.29, authorization of the insurance revenue anticipation and/or tax anticipation notes. This is a roll call. So Mrs. Abelgor, yes?
You need to move.
Oh, yes, we should probably move it first. Thank you, Mr. Palladino. Tim, was that you?
Yeah.
Second?
Second.
Nick? Okay. Mrs. Abelgor is a yes. Mr. Connors?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. DeJalorme?
Yes.
Mrs. Hutchinson?
Yes?
Mrs. Mainville?
Yes.
Mrs. Prawl?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Prawl, thank you for the correction. Action 1.03, establish rate for mileage reimbursements.
Move it.
Second?
Quick question.
Sure.
Is it 1.30?
1.30.
Okay, I thought you said 03. I just wanted to clarify.
Did I say 03? No. I apologize.
No, just double checking for the reference.
All those in favor?
Aye.
What is that rate, by the way?
Oh, I have to look at the IRS, whatever the IRS
Whatever.
record is, yeah.
Will you send that out to us?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 1.31, building use fees. This is for the Bolton Junior High, where's this one? This is for all of them?
Everybody.
This one for everybody, they're not separated. Okay, so it's for building use fees for the district.
Move it.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 1.32, gate receipts and admission fees.
Move it.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 1.33, non-resident tuition rates.
Move it.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 1.34, rates for miscellaneous services.
Move it.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Moving on to action 2.01, building principles to suspend students under education law sections 3213, 3214, and 3216.
Move it.
Second?
All right, and Fallon. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 2.02, authorize superintendent to require employees to undergo medical exam under Education Law 913.
Move it.
Second?
I think that was Nick and Fallon. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. So for action 2.03, we're the regular Board of Education meeting. I'm going to ask someone to move it before we have discussion, because we're going to talk about possibly moving the time of the meeting. So if somebody could move it.
Move it?
Move it.
Move it for Tim.
Second. Whichever.
Okay, Tim and
Pick one of
Fallon?
us.
Tim and Fallon, okay. All right, so the talk is that the Board of Education, normally we start our meetings at 6:30. There have been members who have requested an earlier start time. So Mrs. Perry had put a tentative time for 6 p.m. So I just want to get your guys' thoughts. I also know we have a board member who was thinking about maybe asking to move executive session time around as well. So we just got to figure out where we want to go for this year's times for our meetings. So if you're in favor of moving to 6 p.m., just kind of like raise your hand so I kind of get a feel.
I'm indifferent.
You're indifferent? Mrs. Mainville, 6 o'clock, you would like to move it down a half hour? Okay, Mr. O. All right, so,
I have a question.
Sure.
When you say changing the time of executive session, doesn't that just go right after the meeting?
well, we need to, I don't know, I probably should have asked you to do that separately, but I did have a member, so let's.
I requested that we do it prior to the meeting, and we used to do that, because we have to close the regular meeting out after executive session. So if anybody wants to remain, then they have to stay here until we come out of executive session, or stay online if they have. Also, by putting it prior to the meetings, it gives us a time frame, it gives us a limit, so we don't have marathon executive sessions.
But keep in mind with that, if things are not resolved, we may still have to go
And that's
after.
usually what happens.
So this particular resolution is for the 6 p.m. So let's go ahead and vote on that. It sounds like everybody's in favor, but let me ask, all those in favor of moving to 6 p.m.? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 7-0-0. Now with the executive session, can we add that resolution onto our next meeting?
So what are we resolving?
We're going to ask again, people have time to think about it until the next meeting. They want to know if we can start executive session prior to the meeting.
Okay.
So we'd have to think of a time, because if we're now starting at 6,
The meeting starts at 6, executive session may start at 5, 5:15.
at 5,
And
so
then we
those
needed
are,
extra time.
Yeah, if we had like
Then
a
could add
short
it on.
item, we could do 5:30. If we had the longer items, we'd have to start
we
early.
have to start earlier.
It's good to have a set time to start, but like when we had it before, if we didn't have any executive session, we would have to wait. We were at 7:30 when I first got here, so so executive session is at 6:30, and then if we had nothing, or if we had one item, we would have to wait till 7:30 for the start time. So
And I have a question as well. When will we know if there's going to be an executive session that particular day? Will we find out what, just before?
we have a pretty good idea on Friday. We have a pretty good idea, and then if there's any litigations or those types of things that came in on Monday or Tuesday, that would be it. We generally have the personnel items. We generally would know unless something happened on that day. But generally, we know personnel discussions on Friday.
Yeah.
So you'll get something and you board back up.
And it'll say executive
Agenda.
session. Gene always asks on Thursday, do we have executive session? We've been having a holder place on there, but like tonight, we took it off because there wasn't any items.
And sometimes, you don't have to do it, so. So that's just something for everybody to think about, so you can come back at the next meeting. We can have that discussion under the resolution, and then we can just kind of go from there.
So the regular board will be at 6.
So my question is, do we have an idea? So we're gonna do this meeting at 6.
We're gonna do the meeting at 6.
executive session.
We'll have to do the next meeting afterwards, because we hadn't voted on
Right.
Yes,
the resolution.
but for the resolution, am I saying to start at 5 o'clock? Okay.
No, you're saying to start at 6 p.m., Gene.
For the
This is for
meeting.
the regular board meeting.
Yes, but she's
Right,
asking
6,
what
but
to
I-
put the resolution
Okay.
for the next meeting.
Just clarify, what do you want on the next meeting?
So I'm talking about executive session.
Yep,
So we are all in favor of moving to the meeting at 6 o'clock.
correct.
So executive session,
is,
Are we in favor of the 5 o'clock?
That's what she's gonna put in the resolution.
Yeah,
We
so
want
that's
to
what
start
that's my confusion.
Okay.
Question, don't we have to start the meeting before like, we can't just go into executive without
Yes.
starting a meeting?
you come into you come into a meeting, you go into executive session, that's right, executive session.
So we don't do the pledge or anything, so it's just straight to executive, and then we do all the other stuff we would normally do after?
No, we open the meeting, then you go to the executive session.
First item on the agenda is executive session.
That's what I wanted to double check.
Yes. Yep.
We've got things
Good
to
question.
discuss, to figure out. Lots of time to ask questions in the next.
I was just confused because I was looking, when I was listening was, we had said that 6 PM start for the regular meeting, and at the next meeting, we discussed when would executive session be, and if we had to have executive session at the next meeting, it would have to be after, because we wouldn't have it set up yet.
For the next meeting,
Okay,
yes.
that's right. Okay, I just want to make sure I wrote it
Does
down.
that make
Yeah,
sense
thank
to
you.
everybody now?
Okay.
I didn't mean to confuse them.
It does not make sense to me.
Okay, so at the next meeting, we are going to start at 6 o'clock, and if we have executive session, we will do it.
6:24, like the retreat,
No.
or 7:24?
Oh, no, for our regular
7:23.
meetings, for our regular meetings, so the next meeting
July
is
23rd.
July 23rd.
Okay,
So our next Tuesday board meeting, then we will start at 6 PM.
okay.
Where if we have executive session, we will do it following because we haven't voted on a resolution yet.
Okay,
And we'll just discuss that resolution at the next meeting. So it gives us time to come up with our questions.
it's 23rd.
Yes,
Okay, got it.
okay?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so moving on to action 2.04, authorize superintendent to hire staff on a per diem basis. Somebody move that?
Second.
Nick?
Tim, second.
And Tim, okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 2.05, approve professional development plan.
Move it.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 2.06, approve the code of conduct.
Move it.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 2.07, reaffirm all policies.
Move it.
Second.
And Nick. All those in favor?
Who was the second?
It was Nick. All those in favor, aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Okay, action 3.01 is adjournment for this meeting.
Move it.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. 33. All right.
Yeah, but there's an evacuation and pledge for the first.
We don't have to do that again? Okay.
Sorry.
Nope, that's totally fine. Probably check the book.
Are we going to our next meeting now?
Yep.
Yes, we are.
It was advertised as that?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Immediately.
Same questions, huh?
That was a great question. Yes, it
Jean,
was.
did you hear that question?
Say it one more time.
That we're going into the next meeting. You announced that the meeting, the first part started at 5, and that we would continue to go into the next meeting as soon as we finish the first one. That's what you told everybody, right?
When you posted for this meeting, the regular was immediately following? That's the
Yes,
question.
correct.
I said I'd ask you that earlier, so I knew.
Yes, right along.
All right, so we're going to move into our regular board meeting. For those of you at home, if at any time you have any questions for the board members or you would like to reach us, you can reach us at our email, clerk@fulton.cnyric.org. I would like to call this meeting to order. Action 1.02, approve the agenda.
Move it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Mrs. Perry, there was nobody signed up? Okay, so we will move through. Going on to action 1.06, approve the June 25th regular meeting minutes.
Move it.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. For the president report, I would just like you to look, I'm going to add a couple extra things, but look at those meetings. We have a tentative board meeting for the 23rd. If we do have a meeting, it will be a very quick one, probably just to do
Yes,
some.
and I talked to Mark about, so we need to have it, because he's already got some personnel that needs to be voted on.
All right, so we will have a meeting on the 23rd. It will be basically just to vote in.
Right.
our
No
personnel.
presentation.
No presentations.
And it will be at 6 o'clock.
And it will be at 6 o'clock. And then we have a regular board meeting on August 13th and the 27th at 6 o'clock. I want to also remind you that we have our board retreat July 24th at the G. Ray Bodley Library from 9 to 3. For those of you who may not have seen it or are still interested, our law conference on August 1st is at the Turning Stone Casino with our law firm, Ferrara and Forenza, sorry.
When is it?
It is August 1st. Are you signed up for that, Mr. Crandall?
No, but you got me thinking.
There you go.
Is that the same law conference they have on the Wednesday prior to the convention?
That one's the NISBA.
Okay,
Are you going to that one?
I'm going to, but I'd like to go to the Turning Stone.
Okay.
Now, is that just one day?
Yes.
So everybody,
He
he wants to go to the meeting.
Meeting, I just
I
want
just
to go
wanted
to
to
the
clarify,
casino.
Nancy, did you just want to go to the church?
I'll be there the
Or do you
night
wanna go to
before,
the
so
meeting?
I'm sure I'm gonna-
Yeah, we'll be there the night before, Mrs. Perry. No. All right, so if you are interested, just let Mrs. Perry know.
Everybody's already
Awesome, that's
said
great.
yes, so good.
And then our annual convention is in New York City, October 19th through the 22nd. If you have not already responded back to Mrs. Perry, let her know if you're interested so that she can get that set up for us.
So can I just have an idea, Dora, you're going, correct?
Yes.
And Brian, we're going, Mr. Crandall,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
yeah,
I'm not sure I'll be there.
question mark, Brenda? Timmy?
Family obligations.
Jen?
That's October 19th
Yes.
through 22nd.
It's, yes,
I'm still finalizing details, and I'll get back to you.
very good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep, Tim already got it. Yep, so they're good with that. So those are our next conventions coming up. Some of us will be attending the rural schools and the Albany conference coming up next week.
You all have your packages.
We do have our packages. So, Mr. Polvino, there is also, and I know that you sent it in our board backup last week, but there's a July 11th, there is a online conference
Yeah.
that is coming up.
There's a webinar on the Rockefeller funding, the piece that they're looking at, the redoing the funding formula for foundation aid for New York State. And it's, the date is Thursday, and I just don't have the time off the top of my
Yeah,
memory. I think it's a midday noon webinar, I believe.
It is midday, I believe.
And I think all you have to do is click on it. It's very simple to register. You put your name in and you're in. It's free.
If anyone's interested in that, please feel free to, information was in last board backup. All right. And with that, if nobody has any further questions, we'll move on to the superintendent report.
Thank you. Congratulations to running your reorganization meeting. It's always a lot of information in a really short time, covering a lot of things, so thank you. And congratulations to our officers who are going to be serving this year as well. First up, this evening, I just wanted to just say summer school got out of the starting gate pretty well. The feedback I've gotten for the first 2 days for our Bridges program, which is our littles, and our extended school year are out of the blocks well, which is our students with disabilities. And I'm looking forward to visiting them. If anybody would like to go, we're running a program throughout the course of the summer. Just let me know, or programs are running, we can give you the times, you can go check it out. But great things are happening in our district this summer. We're getting going. And if anybody ever wants to walk around and see any of the capital stuff like boilers and all those other exciting kinds of things, we can show you that as well. First this evening is the 2024 National Public Relations Association, the Fulton City School District Award of Honorable Mention, Naomi Hines.
Hi. It's nice to see you all this evening. It's very official. I am here to present this national award. So the National School Health Relations Association receives thousands of submissions every year, so it's not an easy feat to achieve one of these. And this is in the category of video campaign for the Champions program that Fulton ran in collaboration with us. So I'm here to present it, and I'd love to take a photo because they will post our photo. It seems appropriate that the superintendent be in it, maybe the board president.
I think the officers and the superintendent, I think are appropriate.
Okay.
Right.
You're right over next door.
Just that one over there.
Alex is going to be here toward the center.
Alex, that one.
I was going to say
There's all
Alex.
lawyers here. Yeah.
This one?
Yep.
You want the photo, I guess?
That's right. You go this way, then I'll get the wire on it. There we go. Okay.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And while I'm here, does anyone have any questions about the service that I can answer?
So you said there's a conference. So is this going to be discussed in the national?
So Alex is actually presenting at the national conference next week. And him and other people who won awards will be recognized at the national conference.
Very
And
good.
that is in Seattle, you said?
In Seattle, and actually I will be speaking specifically on the Champions program.
Yeah, I thought you had mentioned it, yeah. So it's nice to get a national highlight for a really outstanding program, which Mark was here this evening. He and Alex just did a great job and one of the most positive PR campaigns I think I've seen since I've been here. So really outstanding work. So
Thank you. We have one more video coming Friday. So.
Awesome.
well, thank you. Thank you, Naomi, for your team. Wow, we look forward to working in the public relations this year as well.
Our pleasure.
Thank you. The next item this evening, district website update. We're moved to Parent Square. You've seen it in your weekly updates. I've been talking a little bit, gave you some links to kind of give you an opportunity. This evening we have Dan Sherman, our Director of Technology, and Alex from City BOCES. Alex Richmond will be sharing and presenting together.
Thanks, Brian. No. Okay. I'm going to be presenting on the meet, so Jen can see.
Make sure that she can see.
Yeah, here we go.
Okay.
We'll ask her.
Jean, can you hover over the presentation? There should be a maximize for the mouse.
Mrs. Mainville, can you see that? What am I doing?
Maybe a little push pin.
The three.
Right over top of the presentation. There's a little push pin there. It just appeared when you were hovering.
In the middle of
Yeah, in the middle near the.
Right over
red
communications.
bring the cursor down.
Right down to the screen.
Look at everybody's watching me.
Dan's coming up there, Jane. He'll take care of it.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that.
I have the wrong glasses on for
That's
this
all.
technique.
I can see this, I can see the presentation.
Oh,
Okay,
I guess
thank
that doesn't
you.
make it any bigger.
I'm all good.
I think
Thank
that's
you.
as big as I can get it, yeah. It's Google Meet style, yeah.
Make it a little bit bigger.
There you go. Miss Mainville, can you still see that?
I sure can.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna get started. As Brian's already said, I'm Director of Technology and Data. So I'm obviously quite a bit involved with the technical, the infrastructure, the backbone behind all of this. But really, we're gonna be talking about the power of our staff and our departments and our schools communicating with families. So that's really the big point of this. And you already know Alex.
Yeah. Again, I'm Alex Richmond. I'm your PR representative on behalf of City BOCES. And I'm helping Dan with this. It's going to be a lengthy process for sure, but it's a worthwhile one. So.
Absolutely. Somehow I'm stuck on annotation. My apologies. No, I don't want to let others know. My apologies, technology. There we go. Something went wrong. And that happened.
So this is not the new software.
Okay,
There we go. That's what needed to be said.
So I wanted to talk about just a brief overview of what ParentSquare is going to bring to the district and to our communications. So in this overview, kind of just talking about the fact that we are transitioning to ParentSquare as the provider of our communications. We have a kind of a patchwork. We're going to talk about that in a little bit of different communication modes and different communication tools, but it is going to impact our class-to-home communications. That's our teachers communicating with their families and the students. School communications from the school administration and school activities. District communications, crisis communications, our website, the hosting of our website and all of the content on our website, and social media posting. So up on the presentation, just put a couple of interesting facts about our current website. So 2 minutes is the average length of user engagement on the website. People aren't spending a whole lot of time. When they're there for business. They want to get things done. They want to find the information they're looking for. They don't want to click around a long time. So that's a bit of information for us as we go through. And I kind of have a breakdown here for you of our top 10 page views. So that big blue pie piece is our homepage. We can safely ignore that because if you're aware of how search engines work on the internet, there's a whole bunch of robots out there that are constantly landing on websites, indexing all the pages. That isn't necessarily actually human beings who are visiting the homepage. But other people have clicked in, and these are generally users, have clicked down into some of the pages. And so you can see our calendar is very popular. It's a huge chunk of the top 10 page views in the last 12 months. Athletics is very popular. Staff directory. People want to get in touch with our staff. Now, those could be parents. They could also be spammers and phishers. So take that with a grain of salt. School tour. People want information about their students or their children. Board of Education home. So people are visiting that. And then you can kind of see it kind of filters down into some of our other departments and our schools. GRB is top for all the schools. Junior high is second, which makes sense given the enrollment numbers. School nutrition's up there. Employment. So you can kind of see where our average number of users are going to.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Of course.
Since you're saying that one of our biggest sites to be looked at on here is our calendar, and I know that this has come up in the past, are we very current on what is on that calendar? And is it district-wide calendar, or is it individual school calendars that this is going
So
to?
this includes all of the calendars. So because our calendars are on the district calendar, if you go to the district calendar, it contains all of our calendars for each of the buildings as well as the district events. But I also included the data from each of the school calendars, so someone went directly to, say, Lanigan's calendar.
Okay.
That data is also included in this because I thought that was germane to kind of, those are what people are looking for, the events, the directory of the events.
And so our building levels are keeping them current.
We are working on a plan to make sure that we keep them as current as possible. And we know that changes happen at the last minute, but that's part of this process, is to build up the capacity of our schools, our departments, to take charge of our information and make sure it is up to date and moderated and keep it up and check it.
Okay.
So 3 out of 4 users use an external search engine to come to information on our website. So they are not just going to Fulton City School District and going to the website and then browsing around. They're using Google or something else, and they're saying, Lanigan events, Lanigan calendar, follow me information, phone number for, they're just typing it in there, and they're putting the word Fulton in there, and they're searching for it, and they're hoping to find what they need. So this kind of illustrates once again, people are coming to the website, they want information, and they want it quickly. They want to be able to get to what they need to get to quickly and get that information and move on with the tasks that they're trying to accomplish.
So when we're looking at communications for the district as a whole, I think we all know it's not perfect, it's getting better. But there's some pretty clear problems that we can identify just based on the data that we do have. The first one is, it's not that we're not sending out enough communication, it's actually quite the opposite. We have a problem of over-communication. And that's largely because there's just so many different venues that the district currently uses to communicate by. So when you really think about it, we've got the website, we've got the emails, we've got the billing newsletters, we've got the text, we've got Remind, we've got Blackboard, we've got the social media, all of these different things. And it muddies the water very, very quickly. So even if information is out there, it's not always easy to find, which kind of pushes into the second point that's there. Now, overall, this problem is going to be compounded when information is out of date. And that's certainly a problem that we're seeing very, very clearly on the website. So if you try and search for something on the website, you can get articles and information that might be 4 or 5 years old. And it's hard to tell, is it still valid, is it not? So it basically needs a deep clean. We're going to talk about that in a little while. The other issue is just a problem of communication speed. That access to information is impeded when you can't find the stuff that you need right away because you're competing with not only, where am I supposed to find this, but also, is this accurate? And then there can be still some work on district's response overall. Sometimes, things are getting out there on social media or sometimes even in the press before we even have the opportunity to really take a crack at it. And with this new software, with Parent Square that we're going to see, there's some really cool ways that we can preload some information, we can be at the ready for stuff like this so that we can communicate at a moment's notice.
So why Parent Square? So to illustrate that just a little bit, nearly all of Oswego County school districts are either moving to Parent Square this coming school year or are talking about moving to Parent Square in the next few years. Onondaga OCM, the OCM BOCES region also, many of the districts have moved to Parent Square. And there's a simple reason. It consolidates everything in a very easy to use format. It makes it easy for families to reach out and make connections to the school. And it makes it easy to find information when you need it. Because as we've already illustrated on the website, you're trying to find information when you need it, not when someone else gave it to you at some other time period. So search is huge, trying to find what you need. It is a one-stop shop. Everything is in there. We can post to families, staff members, certain groups, activities. We will be working on rolling in our athletics program. We're actually in the process of working on that. That will come just a little bit later in the fall as we train our coaches. But we are going to be putting everything in one spot, making it easy for families to communicate with the school and the school to communicate with.
So does that mean coaches wouldn't be using their Remind anymore, all of that?
Remind may be going away.
Okay.
Yep. So all other forms of communication are going to go away. We are going to use this one-stop shop for everything that is working.
Does this link into that app that you have on phone?
So that's a great question. So the
Parents
app is also going away. The app is part of our old communication solution called Blackboard. The Parent Square app is universally available, and the accounts are quite neat because I'm a parent in another district, and I have Parent Square as a parent. I am now also an admin on Parent Square here, and I can seamlessly switch back and forth to find out what's happening in my schools, and then I can immediately post something here in the district as well. So it gives you the permissions you need, where your account access is, all in one app.
So those of us that work in other districts that are getting this, we can flip that.
You can flip back and
have two
forth.
accounts.
Yep, all in one app, no need for separate apps. It makes it very easy. One of the aspects that is most important about this is consistency. It's really important to have a cadence of communication and consistency in the ways that we communicate, because that's going to build up our safety, our psychological safety, our trust, and our brand in the community. So that's going to be a really big piece of this. It's going to unify the website, social media, and all of our communications. So when we post, the people who have permission to will be able to simultaneously post to social media, the website, make an announcement, and post to families directly through the ParentSquare app. And of course, the ease of communications. Everything is in one spot. It's searchable. It auto-translates, which I'm going to talk about in just a moment, but it's built for families to use. It's really focused on that. We also have a lot of analytics. There's a lot of reporting that comes with this because it is constantly analyzing who interacted with that post, who looked at it, who viewed it. Was it delivered? Did they comment on it? Did they appreciate it? And there's just that whole some sort of social media interaction component that we can collect data on and see which families aren't we reaching. Which families do we need to do a better job of reaching out to. The automatic translations is a bonus for our E&L population because the user gets to determine what language they want the post to come in, and they will automatically be translated on their app, which is fantastic. And of course, there's an accountability component to this as well. Because it's going to be unified in all in one spot, administrators, other post admins in the district, and the superintendent's team can review and see. You know, you can pick a specific parent and see how many communications do they get in a day. Are they getting, 1,000 posts? Maybe it's too much. And they can kind of do that sort of backward user experience kind of analysis with all the reports and kind of look at some of the accountability involved in that as well.
A question.
Of course.
A lot of teachers used Remind to communicate with parents. This will replace that?
Completely.
And you say that there'll be administrators. What about like a teacher with her classroom or his classroom? If they want to send something out to the parents, do they have to get permission? Can they just do it?
So teachers will automatically get their rosters, their students, and the families associated with their students connected to them directly through the app. It all comes from the school team. So a teacher would have that teacher level of permissions, so they would be able to make posts, send out information, but they can't send urgent alerts, like a snow day alert, or things like that. So it's all based on that permission level. So teachers will be able to just send a post, they'll be able to direct message through the app. One of the other nice features that I haven't kind of touched on is the fact that this is completely anonymous direct messaging. There's no need to give out phone numbers, personal cell phone numbers. There's no need to give out even personal email addresses anymore because everything is directly through the app in the direct messaging software part of it. So.
Who would have access to all the communications? I mean, can anybody just get on there and see all the communications between all the teachers?
Not between all the teachers. So if you are, say, for instance, a parent, you would see only the posts that were sent to your kids in your families. Other people wouldn't be able to see those, of course, excepting a school administrator, a district administrator, somebody who has the ability to see all posts in a building, a department, or app. The direct messages are also private between the group of people, just like an email exchange back and forth.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we have a short video here. This is the ParentSquare sort of, PR pitch. It is very brief, and I'm going to make sure, hopefully, my volume is going to be working. Let's see if I can get this to work.
Parents are busy, and they're getting school information from everywhere. Teacher apps, school texts, email newsletters, district calls, backpack flyers. Too many methods, too many places to look. Schools don't know if they're getting through all this clutter and noise. Who's saying what? If family contact information is current, and who's not being reached? Wouldn't it be better if everything was in one place, so you and your families could be sure nothing and no one is missed? It's time to get organized, to get unified. Welcome to ParentSquare. ParentSquare unifies family communications from the district office to the classroom, all in a single platform. From district-wide alerts to individual parent-teacher messages, ParentSquare's communications tools are built to work together, not piece together. Staff have to learn only one system. Parents find everything in one account. It's more than messages. It's also school services that rely on two-way communications, like filling out forms, scheduling conferences, excusing absences, and responding to progress reports. All fully integrated so parents can reply by web or app and miss nothing. Administrators also miss nothing. Usage and participation reports let them know who's not being reached and help improve communications equity. And they can trust contacts and messages will stay private and secure. Schools also increase engagement and family connections with ParentSquare's unique ability to verify and flag updates to contact details. Parents can pick preferred ways of being reached and use any other phone numbers or email addresses to log in. That gives parents control and schools confidence important messages make it through. With ParentSquare, schools get a unified communications platform that saves time. They stay in touch with families easily and consistently. Parents have just one login account to find information and communicate with schools and teachers. They're more satisfied and involved. ParentSquare, all of your family interactions in one place. Parents are big.
You ready?
Okay, no, just this time. Okay, so we're going to talk about implementation. So, you know, we've made the decision to switch this, the why. Now we're going to work on implementing.
Can I ask you one quick question, just kind of going back? So our classroom teachers, would their TAs have access to what they're sending out to the students as well, so that the TAs or aides would be part, sorry about that, so that they would know what's going on with what the teacher's sending out? Is
Absolutely.
That
so it works off of the master schedule in School Pool. So generally our TAs are scheduled in the master schedule.
Okay.
The aides aren't necessarily, but we can easily add them into a particular classroom or separate classrooms.
So it's like
as
a
needed.
one-to-one
Yep.
aid or something, so they would know what's going on as well?
Absolutely, and there's the ability for a staff member, a teacher, so if they made a particular post about something where they needed to collect some information, they can actually make the other TA or one of the aides an admin on that post, so that they can look at responses, they can respond back to parents on behalf of the teacher. So there's a lot of opportunities to be flexible in the way that they can be implemented.
Thank you.
I don't want to ask this because I'm afraid of the answer, but is this, because there's no email integrated with this, are we as a board going to need to learn the software to communicate? Like say someone, you know, it's because we're not doing email, wants to reach out to the board through the school because it's all encompassing. Would it go to the same spot as, say, the email address we give out before meetings, or how would that necessarily work?
So that's a great question. This is not going to replace our current email structure. We'll still be using Gmail to communicate within the district, communicate between staff members. The focus of this is communicating with the families associated with the school, the department, the activity. So that is the main goal of this. We haven't really worked out all the details about how department chairs and principals are going to communicate with their staff. It's likely that they'll probably still use ParentSquare, much like they've used the S'mores and the Google Sites to communicate upcoming information in ParentSquare. If the need arises, we can easily get you all set up in ParentSquare to kind of take a look at some of those posts. And there's a lot of different options in that, so we can discuss that and figure that out if needed. But we'll still be using that clerk email address. It'll still go to Gmail. We'll still be using email to communicate, especially with business in the district.
Yeah, and I just didn't know if there was a way to basically, I mean, we could create our own system using manual labor, like take one thing, put it into another, but there's no way to kind of hook it so someone communicates through there and then automatically emails that message to the account.
So are you saying if a parent wanted to reach out to the board?
Yes, like you say they wanted to do it, could they message through there to a board contact, but instead of it staying in the board account, we'll put it forward to email, or is that not a plugin that would work?
I believe that we could get that to work. I don't know offhand how to do that, so I will definitely investigate that and get back to everybody.
It's amazing what technology can do.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And real quick on that point, Tim, one of the things that's really cool about ParentSquare is they're constantly evolving. I mean, just the number of features that they've added in the last year is incredible. I actually spoke with not only one of their representatives, but actually their original designer at a conference last year. And at the time, they were in the process of going through secure documents and being able to add secure documents So instead of sending something home as paper or parent signature, whatever, you can just do that right through ParentsWare. They've now implemented that. Yes. So it's constantly updated. Laura, you have a question?
Yes, I was just going to ask about calendars. Having come from a classroom just recently, I look on the calendar. If I knew something was going on in the school or in the district, I look on the calendar and it just wouldn't be there. How do I know that that stuff will be there now?
So are you talking about the
Like who would update it?
calendar? Yeah, so back to the same question that Brenda asked before, is part of this is really building up the capacity of our staff members to constantly be moderating, reviewing what's posted on the calendars. In ParentsWare, it's the same Google calendars that are used on the website. So all the public events that are posted in the individual building public calendars automatically go to ParentsWare as well. So yeah, it's going to come back down to making sure that the people have the capacity and the training to continue to update and keep everything up to date.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we move on? Okay, timeline. So there's a whole bunch involved in this. We've actually been working on this for about 2 months. We have been internally creating all the data linkages between ParentsWare and SchoolTool. So it's starting to pull over all of our family information from SchoolTool. We are in the process of setting up the permissions and the accounts. So, principal versus a teacher versus a district admin or director. So we are internally implementing all of those steps right now. And our next steps are training. So we are training our administrators next Monday as an initial introduction to our administrative team. We're going to get them up and running and be able to start looking at all the information that's in there. Because this is linked to SchoolTool and linked to master schedules, as soon as master schedules are published in SchoolTool internally, that information, all the rosters, the teacher linkages between all of those things will all be updated in ParentsWare overnight. So everything will be available and ready to post. So if, for instance, principal needed to post to incoming third grade at their school, they could do that and be able to send that post right out.
And I just want to ask one question because sometimes there's glitches with all of these programs. So I know in my school there's a program that I use, and if we implement another student in there, it's got to wait till a certain time for it to kind of connect for that kid. Is this if like we have some new students coming in and we're putting them in, is there a wait period before they're added into the?
So it'll be midnight the night that they start their enrollment. So enrollment starts the morning they first show up in a school. So when we physically see a student in a building in that class, that's when enrollments start in school. And that midnight that night, it will sync up with all the other services. So our testing services,
so we do have a little
things like that. So it works just the same way.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so it will be less than 24 hours.
Less than 24 hours.
Great question. So part of that training that we're going to be doing for our administrators and our clerical is a communications playbook, which I know Alex is going to be talking about in just a moment. But we are going to be talking about the features of ParentsWare, looking at, and as Alex mentioned, they continue to innovate, so there's a lot of new features already that we can introduce. And we're going to be talking about those details next Monday and starting that process. We're going to be talking about website content posting and moderation. Really just keeping the website up to date, making sure that there is a review process by each department and each school to look at the information that is on the website, keep it up to date, make sure we know who is responsible for each of those things, and just make sure that we keep up to date with those kinds of things, because we don't want parents looking for their 2 minutes that they spend on the website looking for something and finding completely outdated information. Staff training comes next. So we are going to be using that communications playbook along with the features of ParentsWare to start talking to staff, and especially our teaching staff. We're going to be introducing that. A couple of early adopters are going to be doing a training in a couple of weeks, and then we're going to be introducing it en masse. First, we're going to introduce it for our other early adopters if they want to. We'll send out the training and materials, and then we're going to jump in on August 28th, our orientation day. So that day, we will be training all of our teaching staff to send messages and post. And so we're going to get that up and running so that they can send out their first welcome message for the school year. In tandem with that, as you can imagine, we need to make sure that the parents have the app. to have their account set up. So in tandem with that, we're going to be sending out that information in early August, and we are going to send the information, hey, we're not going to use the FCSD app anymore, we're going to be using Parent Square, we're going to introduce it. There's some very easy directions that Parent Square has set up for parents to get that going, and we're also, obviously, our help desk will be available to help out with implementation and having parents get signed up. And then we're going to have parents start downloading the app. Until that point, the only way they can be reached is email, text, phone. We want them in the app because the app is the place for them to go to find everything they need when they need it. So that is going to be a big push for us, is to find out which parents don't have the app or aren't logged into the website and get them up and running with their accounts so that they can get the information that they need. So that is it's going to be a simultaneous push at the beginning of August before we start training our staff, so that we have parents ready for their messages for the first days of school.
So the implementation is going to have a number of big pieces to it, and one of the most important is really going to be that website. So the website that we currently have is through a service called Blackboard, which no longer exists. It was bought out by a different company. So regardless of what was going to happen this year, we were going to have to make some decisions about the website. And fortunately, Parent Square offers a great opportunity to plug in their software, all their app, all of the stuff that they can do with an actual web design. Now, as part of that, Parent Square does offer a service where they can just essentially take everything that you've got on the website right there and throw it onto the new website. We are opting not to do that, because what we would like to do is to have the PR team sit down, particularly with building administrators and district administrators, to go page by page through the website and fully clean house. There's a tremendous amount of information there that is no longer needed. There's stuff that needs to be updated. There's stuff that can be clarified. So this will be a hefty summer project, but a very important one. It gives us, the opportunity to, like I said, fix all the outdated stuff, update existing things. As Dan has mentioned a couple times now, moving forward as we really begin to merge the website with Parent Square, it's going to empower our clerical staff, all of our department heads, to really manage and update their own content. There's going to be some training involved there. There's going to have to be some stipulations, standardization, and we're going to get to that with that last little piece there, the playbook. As far as building the actual capacity of Parent Square, the week of August 12th, that's really when we're going to begin to introduce this both to staff and parents. Parent Square has some great materials. We don't really need to reinvent the wheel. They've got some fantastic videos and tutorials and things that are very simple. And by the way, the app itself is very easy to use. It's very intuitive. Everything kind of works together in a very nice way. I know a lot of people who've used it in other districts, and quite a few people are pretty excited that we're bringing it along. So in August, we'll kind of do a relatively sizable push campaign. What that's going to look like specifically, we still don't know. Obviously, send out emails, some social media updates, things like that, possibly a mailer, but we'll get the information out there for sure. And as Dan has also said, Parent Square has some fantastic analytics options where we can really see, where are our holes? Who are we not getting to? Who do we still need to reach out to in some other way to really make sure that we can get everybody all on board? The staff training will be a rollout beginning on August 28th, where we have that professional development day. That's really when we'll see a lot of people begin to use Parent Square and figure out how it's going to operate here. We're going to start to see a rollout of students and coaches throughout the fall, and that's where it started with coaches. And then we get to that playbook piece. So the communications playbook is going to be a tremendously important part of this whole process. It's not required by Parent Square in any way, but it's one of those things that we have this opportunity to do something that's really going to help us within the communications world. And now just seems like the right time. Before I jump into that, as Dan has also said, Parent Square implementation does mean that the FCSD app is no longer going to be utilized. That will be going away along with a number of the other apps that are currently being used. But essentially anything that those apps can do, Parent Square can also do. So hopefully that will be a relatively seamless process. Now, as far as that communications playbook, the playbook is going to be a singular document that really helps us to establish a sense of protocol and standardization of district communications. There are some areas of the district that do a fantastic job of communications. There are some that need a little bit of work. This is going to really create a solid plan that will act as sort of a blanket over everybody. This is going to be available to all staff. Portions of it will be made available to the public when they need to know those things. It's going to help to clarify very specific avenues and methods for how the district will communicate. So how are we going to use social media? How are we going to use the district calendar? How are we going to use the website? What kind of content should be there and how should people be able to find it? So it'll include things like crisis communications. What is our process for crisis communications? Who needs to be the one to tell whoever, district communications, building, classroom, and also individual. We ask our teachers, we ask our staff to be in communication with families. Well, what does that mean? Are there certain requirements that we're going to instill? These are conversations that we'll have across the district as a whole. And it'll govern both public and private because we'll be able to monitor both of those thanks to Parent Square. It's going to establish guidelines for posts and content generation. So even where you would think it'd be pretty basic, like something like a calendar update. Well, if you just throw the title of the event at 6 o'clock on a Friday, well, that might not give everyone all the information that they need. So let's establish, we need a what, we need a why, we need a where, that kind of thing. So again, it will help to establish a sense of standardization. Everybody can be doing this the same way. With basically every level of communication. It's something that's in the process of being worked on. I don't think we're expecting it to be done by the beginning of the year, Don? Correct. It'll be something that we'll softly move into and move forward with.
We know we've answered some questions along the way, but lingering questions. Things you still would like to more clarity on?
I have about 20, so buckle up.
Sure.
So first I have to say, I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but your one comment about we over-communicate, I cannot disagree more as a district. That is one of our biggest things our community discusses, how we are ineffective at communication. And as myself with a parent and kids from elementary to junior high to high school, I just can't agree with that. And it typically takes a person about 5 times just to get information, to really learn it, to understand it, and to remember everything, especially. My other question is, I know you touched on the why we're doing it. I really hate the answer that all the other schools are doing it. That drives me a little bit crazy. In my 2 terms on the board, we pushed go to the website, all the updates are on the website, to remind, all your answers are going to be in the app, to the lens of learning, and now we're getting saddled with one more thing. And not to mention, our staff, as a district, really complain of, as soon as they get used to something, then we go ahead and change it up on them as well. I understand that we have to do this, I guess, but as a parent who's just getting used to the app in their minds, and as staff members who are getting used to pushing all that out, it's very frustrating, for sure. And my other question is, how much is this going to cost the district moving to Parent Square?
So the cost of this is going to be replacing our Blackboard final site, Remind, all the other services that we actually pay for already. So the cost is we use a coaster, so we purchase through OCM. So we get state aid on the other pieces of it. But the cost is pretty comparable. So it's just a little bit more than what we're currently paying. But like I said, we're using a coaster, so we get state aid on a good chunk of it.
Okay. I didn't hear a dollar sign in that amount. How much?
I don't have it off the top of my head. I could get that information for you.
Okay. And then Also, I've got a few more questions. So you said that we're going to be teaching staff on August 28th. How much time are we going to be giving them to really get used to this and play with it and play around in their?
So there's an hour and a half scheduled currently right now. That is just our initial, just being able to make a post. Simple, just navigation and making a post to your class, understanding how to answer direct messages back and forth, setting up their account. So it's going to be pretty basic. Parent Square recommends you need a half an hour at least for that very initial piece, but we want to make sure that our staff members come out with the ability to generate a welcome message that they're going to be sending to their classes at the end of that so that they're ready to send a message out. So we're going to give lots of time for teams to collaborate, teachers to work together, talk with their teams about how they want to send out that message, especially at a grade level, you know, third grade at a particular school, might want to send the same content or the same information out.
And if our staff needs extra time or needs extra training, where do we go for?
So help desk. Yep, always help desk. We have two amazing tech coaches that go out and handle all of our training when it comes to tech. And as I said, we are rolling it out to our early adopters. I am teaching a class to about 30 some odd staff members in a couple of weeks. So they will also know very much how this works. And they're having an entire half of the day to work on this. And they're going to be able to assist with the capacity, building the capacity goes around them. And then, of course, like I said, we're going to be sending out that information in advance for our other early adopters who want to just jump in and learn on their own. So they'll be able to help their other colleagues as well. And then, of course, we'll continue to build with our training program. We're not going to let it go. We're going to keep going. We have a staff development day in November where we will be offering other options for people who still need that refresher or want to jump back in again and learn a few new things because there's a lot of features. We're starting out with the basics. Post your class, be able to answer and reply to direct messages and send messages to parents directly and keep it simple.
Now, for parents like me who are tech unsavvy or our community members who are older and may not be tech savvy as well, how are we going to teach them and present to them?
So that's a great question. A big part of this is going to be using our help desk. We have a outside line for our help desk where we answer questions for some tech help. But a big piece of this is also training all of our staff members. So a teacher might be able to answer a question from a parent that's pretty simple. Where do I find the posts on here? Every bit of the app looks the same for everybody. So posts are always in one spot. So they can help out with some of those kinds of features, like that sort of navigation features. But we're going to be providing training and work with families. We're planning on talking about how we can do that at some of our events coming up in the fall, as well as just providing that information and for families when they need it. So like I said, contacting the help desk, contacting one of the main office schools, and getting them in touch with the help they need.
Is the help desk somebody in the district?
Yes, we have a staff.
Is this a new position?
No.
No, we have a staff. We have staff that sit on our help desk and answer questions for staff members and family and community members.
Would we be able to have maybe help desk staff present at open house and family events like that to help families?
Absolutely, but at that point, I think we probably will have a lot of really good users in every school. So we will also have that as well. As Alex kind of pointed out, it is pretty simple. So once you get over the couple of hurdles of logging in to your account and navigation of the account, it's pretty simple after that. And I know that capacity will continue to build upon itself.
Are we going to be able to send QR codes or something very easy for families to be able to?
Yep.
Okay, and then what about, we have a lot of new families, I told you I have a lot of questions.
No, it's okay. No worries.
We have a lot of new families that are English as a second language learner. What are the options for those families?
So I've already been reaching out to our Katie Metcalf and to our other ENL teachers, as well as our, I can't remember the name of this original title. Bilingual tutor. And they're going to be reaching out to families directly and sitting with them to help them understand how to download the app, get it set up, and change the language over to their preferred language so that they're ready to get going. So we're using a specific outreach program for those families.
We have a current list of all the parents who prefer a language and we're working on that to do them.
Building off of that idea, is there somewhere where you'll be able to see Jimmy's in Colleen's class
and he has a parent that has connected to the system successfully, he gets a green check mark.
Yes.
And then Billy, Joey, and Susan have red check marks because their guardian parent or whatever have not been able to connect. Are then we going to employ some sort of thing then to go, reach out eventually, because I feel like if this is going to be kind of a central tenet to everything, that I would really say we're going to need to shoot for 100%. And if we can't get that, figure out why we can't figure out where these people are and getting to them.
Absolutely, and as Alex and I have both mentioned, there's a huge analytics component to this, and it knows who is interacting with everything, who's got an account set up, who doesn't have an account set up. If the contact details are not right, something is bouncing, if the emails are bouncing back, the phone number is unreachable. All of that information is available in our analytics, and each of the schools and the district are going to be working on reaching out to those families, either getting the correct information or helping them get signed up, get them logged into their account. That is a big component of this because we want to make sure, as Alex kind of mentioned before, we have holes in the district where families aren't getting the communication that they need, and we want to make sure that we get that.
Who is going to be reaching out? Because our staff barely has time to go peek. Whose job is it going to fall on to double check that and make sure those families are getting that?
So I think that's a conversation I'm having with the administrators on Monday, and that's going to be a big piece of all of our administrative team is really focusing on that data and working together to find the information that we need to get reaching out to those families.
In addition to what Val's saying, is there maybe like at 10 weeks, I don't know if that's fair because it's a new technology, that you could come and let us know, okay, we're at 80%, 90%, so we can just have an idea that, at least for the comfortability of us knowing that we're implementing this new technology, that those things are in place, and if maybe it's only at 50%, what should we be looking at to increase that? What's the obstacle, like you said, based off our analytics?
Absolutely. Yes.
I just want to make a comment. I'm not very tech savvy either, but I'd like to say I've had a lot of experience with a help desk coming from the school, and they're right there. I mean, I have never had to wait a period of time for someone to contact me and help me out.
Can I actually go back to your first point, because I don't think we ever actually addressed it. So I, once upon a time, was a teacher for 12 years, and I totally get the revolving door of school applications, and I used to loathe it. What's really nice about Parent Square is it's not necessarily like one more new thing. It's more assisting all of those other things. So let's say you've got a building secretary who needs to make a post on the calendar. In one fluid action, she can post it to the calendar, to the website, to social media, to a text, like all that kind of stuff all at once. So it's trying to take all of those things that we've learned over the last 2 decades as the educational world and kind of try to put it all in one place. That makes sense?
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. It's just, like I've said, I've been on the board for a while, and every time we get something, the app was the answer to our prayers, and this is gonna be it, and we're hitting it for the long haul, and now it's a few years later, and it's like, well, we're gonna scrap that and get this, and so it's just frustrating that we get used to something, or we finally get our community educated or using something, and then it goes to the wayside. I only have 2 more questions for you, and then I'll let you go, I promise. You said when master schedules come out is when we're gonna start implementing. When is that?
So master schedules, it depends. The elementaries work usually the beginning of August to finalize those in school tool, and then I know that the junior high and the high school release sometime after that as well. I know high school is generally right around freshman orientation is when those school, the schedules are published in school tool, and that's when that information goes live to all of our applications.
So that's not till,
what's that?
It would be the beginning of August, middle of August, yeah.
Oh, but I think freshman orientation.
Well, so that's when it's published in school tool for families. My apologies. There's an internal publication date where things are available for teachers, and then there's an external one. I should clarify that.
And then my last question is, I know you talked a lot about analytics and where people are clicking and be able to collect that data. What if I don't want you to have my analytics? Is there a way for families to opt out?
So what do you mean by analytics?
Anything that I do in the app, is there a way to protect, if I was a parent and said, I don't want you knowing how many times I'm going to the lunch menu, or whatever it is there a way that?
So I'm gonna have to look into that, because I'm sure that there's a way, just not to interact with any of those things, but then we're gonna be reaching out and finding out, why aren't you interacting? So I think that's gonna solve part of that problem anyway, because we're gonna make a connection with that family member, to that parent, and say, hey, how would you like your communication?
Right. Well, no,
What's
I
the
just
best
mean
way
like
for
data privacy or things like that.
Oh, data privacy is very big on it. So for instance, we can see the information that they put into School Tool as part of their contact information. We can't see anything else. So for instance, in School Tool, if they've added a phone number, but then on the app they added 2 other phone numbers, we can't see any of that information. We can't see the other 2 phone numbers that they've added. Same thing as before, we kind of mentioned, I'm a parent using ParentSquare in another district. I can't see my information in eBill from here as my folded self. It's completely separated from each other. I can't use my admin powers here in Fulton and search through any of the others. So if a parent was using, we have a Oswego uses ParentSquare, Mexico's just about to come online, Phoenix is coming online with ParentSquare this year. Any of our family members who work in any of those districts or who live in any of those districts, that information is not privy to us here, and vice versa. So Phoenix couldn't see information for here as well. So there's a lot of data privacy involved in that. The information they put into School Tool is their contact information. That is our private confidential information, and that stays there. So a teacher sending a direct message to a family member isn't going to see their email address. They're not going to see their phone number for a text.
I guess, Dan?
Yes?
I think she's talking more from the analytics point of, is data going to be an aggregate, or am I going to be able to see that account Fallon accesses lunch menu 20 times a week? Like, she doesn't want
Probably do.
she's now, if it's something that just says our lunch menu is our most visited page, I don't think that's as much of an issue, right, Fallon?
No, I'm just saying, yeah.
It's more that we don't want, someone to be able to go in, at least without the option, to say, I don't want you to know which pages I'm visiting. I know that's hard because we need that data to then, but do we get that data for each individual, or is it more the aggregate?
So both are true. So depending on the account level, so the permissions of the account level, so that would be our district administrators would be able to see who is interacting with things. The only information we see about a post or a direct message is if it was delivered or not. Much like a text message, you see if it was delivered or not. That's all you can see. You can't see anything else until the user interacts with something. So if they hit the like button, or if they comment and say, hey, could you reach out to me? I don't understand this. That is the user's choice to do that. So if a family member wants to do that, then yes, in order for us to communicate with them, we would need to be able to see that information. So for instance, if a teacher puts out a post and a parent comments on it, only the teacher can see the comment, but then the parent can reach out to that teacher, the teacher can reach back out to the parent. So that's something we're gonna have to talk about. If family members don't want to be interacting with anything like that, what is the way that they want to interact with our information? On the website, it is all aggregated. We're not going to see which user went to what page and what have you. It is all just page views, much like I displayed earlier. We don't know who those people are. Some of them could be robots, some of them could be actual human beings. But in ParentSquare itself, when you're interacting, just like on Facebook, if you like something, it's recording that information. You can hover over it and see who liked what. But that's about the information, and it depends on the permission levels of the user, the district admins.
Okay, that's it.
Great questions.
Just two quick comments, maybe you can answer a couple of questions. First of all, the cost is a little over $19,000 per year, but that's through BOCES, so we receive aid based on that. Our aid rate is anywhere between 80 and 87%. So, and that's within roughly $1,000 of what we're currently paying now for the combined systems. And just to answer your comment, technology changes rapidly. And I can imagine the comments moving from the, like the typewriter to the personal computer and understanding how they change and so on and so forth. So, well, I'm not going to go there. But one of the things to keep in mind too is we keep changing systems with the goal of becoming more efficient. And that's ultimately our goal. And so when you think about the systems we're aggregating by doing this, the overall goal is to become more efficient. The overall goal is to reach everyone in a way that best meets their needs. So, and we can't emphasize enough the fact that we'll now have the knowledge to know, yes, we reached folks and we did it this way. This was an effective way to reach them, and now we know that. The only way we do that now is totally in aggregate. You know, I think Dan showed you the one analytic we have now. You know, we can see that. The current app we use, I don't think we can actually look at that and know if we're reaching people. All we know about our current app is 1,700 people signed up for it. That doesn't mean a lot to us, and it doesn't allow us to target you, the consumer. So this does that, which I think is very important, and that's important for us to talk about. Also, Dan mentioned, how are we going to, who's responsible for sending information out? That has changed a lot over the past decade. You know, I can tell you a decade ago, it was the technology department that took on the responsibility of the website. That's not efficient because the technology department doesn't have that news as it's being made and as it needs to go out. And nor would they have that information or knowledge. Now it's being disseminated to the individuals who have that knowledge and can disseminate it as it's needed for review and so on. So that's what we're saying, is that it's the responsibility of the departments, the schools, to take on that role for information and communication. So I hope that answers your question. Obviously, there's information that's at the district level and so on and so forth. That would be their responsibility. So all of this work is in collaboration with Alex, the communications person, this is his expertise. We've done a lot of work in looking at how other districts communicate at both, at all levels, including crisis communication. So this is a culmination of that work. And I think it's important to move forward in an effort to be more efficient.
And I just want to ask Mrs. Mainville if she had any questions, because we haven't been able to see if her hand is gone up. So.
I don't have any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
If you have any questions, just send them to us and we can get it on weekly. There's a lot of information here. Dom summarized it, said pretty much what I was going to say, which was, think of that, imagine that. We've been talking about this for a while, and I know it's been a painful, long experience, but I think we finally got some technologies that actually integrate things together that may work best for the Fulton City School District. You know, and I think Parent Square is getting some very good reviews in a wide range of types of districts, high poverty districts, low poverty districts. I mean, I've had some contacts with those different districts and conversations with superintendents I've run into. This seems, and some teachers that work in other districts, and this has been a game changer for them in their classrooms, especially for teachers.
We use this in Phoenix, and it's great. Absolutely wonderful.
They're outstanding, Ms. Mainville. Thank you. It's nice to hear from actual users. I'd say and I've talked to, so that's terrific. Thank you. So thank you, Alex and Dan. We're robust, a lot of information there to digest. We will share with you as we're going through these processes and include you in training so you can really experience what people are experiencing out there. That'll help us get better and try to figure out where the holes are. I think the analytics are going to help us dig down deeper to find out those groups that seem to have been more inaccessible or for some reason we haven't been able to connect over time. So.
Wait, one more question. Because I do visit the school lunch menu 20 times a day, I swear to God. Because I have the picky eaters, my kids are picky eaters, so I have to plan ahead. Is that, the apps like we have in our app, or things like that, going to be available in Parent Square, so I can click on that and check the, okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, next item this evening is Strategic Coherence Plan. Update. Jeff, do you want to just provide some updates from our work the last 2 days? And Renee, the two of you?
Sure. We spent the last 2 days unpacking the strategic coherence plan and laying that foundation for how we're going to roll it out and what's our focus going to be for this year and how we're going to plan out the rest of the 5 years for the plan. That's forward to the points that we addressed.
Keep going. So leadership team started digging in, looking at the outcomes, laying out our goals for the summer, the planning of what we're going to do to kind of roll out. Some highlights were that our team was really focused and kind of pointed in the same direction. We really focused on the 3 areas of the strategic coherence plan, that the learning portion that's surrounded by the strategies and systems, and that being surrounded by the culture. So we looked at those areas, really kind of drove with that, and our one big push this year will be around goal setting, and not the act so much of setting goals, but the culture of what goal setting does for our kids to turn learning over to them and make them the active drivers of their learning. So the idea in the strategic coherence plan is over the next 5 years to create a culture where our learners are empowered to be more active in what they do as learners. And the teachers and administrators that are supporting them are helping to guide them through a system of goal setting and monitoring and celebrating and communicating, and hopefully this gets our kids to be the drivers of what's going on and their families to be more active in supporting what's happening with that as well. So it's a little bit different in the fact that we've done goal setting before, but that's been a little bit more from the top down, from the teachers doing that in the classrooms and monitoring at the admin level. This is more, how do we teach our kids to do that and be self-sufficient with, I'm a goal setter, I'm a lifelong learner. It ties directly to the portion of the graduate and what New York State is asking our kids to do with pathways. So we feel like the plan right now is putting us in a good spot. The 3 areas that we're going to focus on this year are data collection, communication, and then celebrations. So each area that we drive from, we're going to look at those 3. Anything else?
That's pretty excited.
And we're going to develop more over the course of the next 2 months and a half, and then hopefully for the second meeting in August, we should have a nice tight summary. We're actually also looking at how can we present it in a much more user-friendly way. So you know how right now it's lots of words on paper, and we've been looking at how do we take those lots of words on a paper and get it much more succinct, clear, and have very clear whys and succinctness in language so that parents and staff can really embrace it and understand what we're doing. It's not having to dig through all these words, and really making clear whys, why we're doing things, and then bringing it full circle from the focus direction to deepening our learning to the accountability aspect. And I think that's something we've talked about here as a board. It's that closing of the loop. The goal setting piece should help us close the loop from beginning to end, where then we can see how our kids are really growing on an ongoing basis. And that progress monitoring will allow us to do that with the goals. And then we can make those adjustments in the classroom, where we need to provide perhaps different instructional strategies for certain kids, different approaches, different resources for certain kids and others. And this hits all kids. And this is something we've also heard a lot about. How do we hit every child every day? Goal setting doesn't matter if you're a struggling learner or a kid that learning comes so easy. And every student with the goals will be able to grow. It should help them grow no matter where they are in that continuum. And that's some of the feedback that we've gotten over time as well. So hopefully this will allow us to really dig down to every student individually, in a much more specific kind of way.
So I just want to add one thing, if you don't mind. I just want to give kudos to Jeff and Renee. The administrators retreat for the leadership of the district was motivational, it was inspirational, it was engaging, and that's the sort of vision we have for the year coming up, not just for the leaders in the district, but our entire stakeholder group in our community. So I want to thank you because it was great to be part of it. So I'm looking forward to that. It was energizing.
You and I are in sync tonight.
And I'm not sure.
Looking at my book.
You're getting it into a way that's kind of accessible, but I gotta say, when you explained it, I don't know if it was the last or 2 meetings ago, Jeff, about the circles and everything, I was like, this is the first time this is all clicked for me. I've been doing this for a year.
There we go.
So I think if there's some way to get that and get it out to the parents like that, then I think everyone will be able to understand it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great comment, Tim. Because that's one of the things that we realized with the last one, and we coming forward, the feedback that we've got, how can we make sure that all of our stakeholders have access and they can have a better understanding and a clearer understanding about what we're doing. And a lot of it gets down to simplified language, and I think Jeff and Renee are really embracing that.
We're focusing on highlights. We had some mock-up ones over the past 2 days to share, and get feedback from you. Is it clear what the plan is?
And to that point, Tim, this as our launch point, the goal setting is, obviously it's not the only thing we're going to do, but it's the big thing that's going to drag everything else along, hopefully. And simplifying that language, and really, this first part is really getting our vision out and understood in a simple way so people can all see this is where we're all going, and we're going there together. And our kids will be the center of that. Like those circles, the learners and the learning are the center. How we support them and the culture that we create around that learning is what the adults do. But what they do and what they get out of this is where we're driving.
And I think the in-syncness that we saw, and Jeff said it, today, the elementary is the most in sync that he's seen in years, and same thing we saw at the secondary 7-12. So we're seeing that over the discussions. I don't know if you want to add to that at all?
I was just going to say they got rid of that principal that was blocking them now. Ready to roll.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Sticking with the go slow to go fast, we're going to really be intentional with what we choose to focus on and get really good at that before we keep adding on, but that'll make all the other pieces fall into place later on.
One last thing I'm going to throw in there. We did a lot of discussion and study with school culture. And an ideal school culture, Todd Whitaker explains to us in his book, School Culture Rewired. He said, when you have good culture, when you have a meeting, when you have an event like this, people leave feeling charged, but like they just had a good workout. And as we left after 2 days of this, you could see people were energized, but exhausted. They put all they could into it, got it ready, and over the next 2 weeks, we're going to be doing our building planning based on what we did for the last 2 days. This is our foundation, and our building planning goes from here.
So more to follow. And finally, the district-wide safety plan, Dr. Lisi?
This will be a little less motivational, but I'll try to do if I can. So first, let me start by thanking the Safety and Security Committee for all their hard work in reviewing this plan. It's something that we are required to do by New York State on a yearly basis, and we thought we'd do a deep dive this year because so much has changed in that area in safety and security. So everybody was involved. We involved our local first responder groups, teaching staff, administration, so on and so forth. So again, I want to thank those folks for taking part in this, and I'll go through the basic areas. One caveat to this, and I think I've talked about this in the past too, not everything we do in safety and security is in this plan. For very good reason. We don't want to share everything we do for obvious reasons. So with that being said, the plan will be on our website for a period of 30 days, and at our next board meeting, there'll be an opportunity for public feedback. And at I believe it's the August 13th meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Berry, we'll be asking for your approval for the plan, and we'll move forward. So very quickly, there are 8 sections in the plan. The first section is risk reduction, prevention, intervention. That involves a breakdown of our community resources that we can call to bear in crisis situations, program initiatives, training drills and exercises, implementation of school security, and vital education information. Section 2 is our early detection of potentially violent behaviors. Section 3 is hazard determination. 4 is our various responses. 5 is our emergency response. 6 is our situation response. 7 is recovery. And 8 is an appendices section with samples of some of the work that we do in this area. So just very quickly, I'll jump to the plan review and public comment. I talked about the specifics in that area, how this works, and how it's posted for 30 days on our website, and we'll come back for public hearing. Community resources, we reach out to our first responders, our fire department, police department, and so on for their feedback and input, and they were instrumental in putting the plan together and reviewing this. Our program initiatives, we have, as you all know, a number of initiatives related to health, safety, and security. Our PBIS program, DASA, trauma-sensitive school framework, and so on, and that's just to name a few. Our training and drills, we're required to have various training and drills throughout the year. We also implement a training program for all of our staff, and that involves videos at the beginning of the year and various opportunities for additional training. Our implementation of school security, again, as you all know, we do a number of different things here. Our folks are required to participate in security training. We have ID cards, as you know. We have door pass systems. We use occasionally police K-9 units for detection purposes. We use our buzzer entry system, single entry, and visitor management system, Raptor, which we use to check backgrounds. for very specific reasons. We have early detection and potentially violent behavior programs, which is our crisis response training, risk assessment tools, and so on, including violence. Our public schools training modules, again, that's our video series that we share with our staff. We do that on a yearly basis. Section 3, our response section, our notification and activation systems, which is basically our crisis communication systems, as we just talked about. There's various ways that we do that. We have internal systems for that sends communication to staff and those internally when there is a crisis, and we also have obviously a system for letting our community know that there's emergencies or response or a crisis and so on. And though some of those systems are spelled out there, some are not. We have a number of different venues that we use, and I think you just heard one of them that we're changing to. We also have, there's a list here of different things that we use during an emergency or have access to, you know, our phone lines and so on and so forth, and various technologies. And just moving forward, much of this remains the same and has remained the same for several years. We just did a deep dive in certain areas that we needed to change. One of the new areas, as a couple years ago, was our pandemic response plan. There are links to that in here, and what our remote learning plan looks like. Those are both required by New York State that we add, and we've done that. And we do have a recovery plan that we don't share for obvious reasons, but that involves resources throughout where we go in an emergency, what we can access, various insurance elements and so on. So we don't share those publicly, but they are part of our plan. And the last section here is the appendices. And again, these are examples. For example, the shell cards that are in every classroom. We actually anticipate a change to those. We're waiting for further information from New York State on that, but there may be a change to that simplifies that process. But again, we're waiting to hear more information. Aside from that, there's just additional details in here, and that's it. We'll also be uploading our building safety and security plans here shortly, and they reflect the overall district plan. They're just more focused at the building level. Other than that, any questions?
I believe public hearing, I believe, is going to be July 23rd before the second meeting of the month. So we'll schedule it now, knowing we're starting at 6. We'll post that for 5 p.m. So we'll do that, and then it'll come back to you for resolution on August the 13th, and then it will be posted in all the places we need to post it and beat that date that actually Ms. Hutchinson pointed out a couple of years ago. Remember when we had the plan and we got into September? So we're very much on the target here. And so,
I like it.
Alrighty, as you can see, lots of things going on. It's early July, and there's a lot of things going on here in the Fulton City School District. And I think that work is going to set us up for a good opening in September. So again, thank you to Renee and to Jeff for the last couple of days as well. I've done an outstanding job getting a tough group of a lot of good minds coming together, and you got a lot out onto the table, and a lot of good things are going to happen for kids. So thank you. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Ms. Abelgord.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Calvino. Moving on, action 4.01, accept financials. Can someone move that, please?
Move it.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 4.02, approve disposal of surplus property.
Move it.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 5.01, approve committee on special education.
Move it.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 5.02, approve Title I parent involvement policy.
Move it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 5.03, approve transportation contract.
Move it.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. I'm going to ask my colleagues, I'm going to split this up just a little bit, but could we batch 6.01 to 6.08?
Move it. Move it. Second.
Tim Connors and then Tim Kern. Okay.
So under 6.01 to
6.08.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 6.09.
Move it.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining?
Abstain.
Passes 601. Would you be willing to batch 6.10 to 6.14?
Move it. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. And that takes us to board forum. Mr. Crandall.
Oh, I just want to thank everyone for the presentation. Don, not too long, not too short.
I was thinking about you too.
Jeff and Renee, welcome to the big table. And that's it.
Okay. Mrs. Hutchinson?
I just wanted to also extend my warm welcome to Mr. and Mrs. Hendrickson. I know you guys will have an exciting year, but hopefully we are here to support you with anything that you need. I did want to do a shout out to Mr. Broderick. He is doing some amazing things with the Fulton Community Basketball. OCO is also providing free breakfasts and free lunch. He's doing a tremendous job communicating. We have students over there helping as well. It's really an amazing program. I'd encourage all of our community to get over there and check it out, and all of our staff to go over. Very, very well done. A lot of volunteer coaches as well that are staff members, and they're just doing a wonderful job. Mrs. Perry did send some information to the board about Stuff-A-Bus. I intend to sign up, keep forgetting, but I just wanted to let the board know about that. This is also a really wonderful community event. I do know there are definitely needs of backpacks and personal supplies as well, so if anybody in our community is able to donate or sign up with the board, that would be greatly appreciated. And with that, thank you for the presentations tonight, and that's it.
Thank you. Mrs. Mainville?
I would just like to say that I hope that we are going to use the NISBA training that we pay for the roles of president and vice president and us as board members exclusively. I'm looking forward to our retreat, and thank you for the presentations, and I'm hoping for a very successful school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Powell?
I just want to say thank you to everybody, making me feel very welcome here, and I wasn't shy about questions, and I hope you weren't. You were okay with my questions.
Good. Questions? Mr. DeJuan?
Just want to welcome Ms. Pro. Ms., is that correct?
Ms.
Pro? Yeah. And I congratulate Alex and Mr. Capani on their award for, what was that, the School Champions Program? Yeah. Great presentation on the Parent Square. Am I going to be able to use that for the reaching out for door security we talked about?
I'm not sure what you're getting at. That might be just an email thing, but I need to understand what you're...
Okay. Yeah. I want to thank everyone for the confidence, those who voted for me for vice president. And Mr. Lisi, thank you for the update on the safety plan. And I think that probably does it. Thank you.
Mr. Connors?
I'd like to thank everybody for the presentations. I'm excited that everyone seems to be excited about the upcoming year and what's going forward. You know, I think it's a big part of what we do is how we come into the year with that attitude, and it sounds like things are moving forward, people are excited, so I'm really excited to see what it looks like when we finally reach that day of, is it a Wednesday this year or a Thursday the students come in?
Good.
it's a Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday.
What is the question?
Excited to see, and
Students
hopefully I'll be able to do the rounds with you again, Brian.
Absolutely.
And
We'll
that's
put
all I
those in
got.
the weekly. I'll get them in the weekly.
start.
Do start getting on your calendar the last week in June, in August, we will be scheduling walkthroughs. So we'll get those dates out in the next meeting, so it gives you a month ahead of time to let us know if you're going to be available to do the walkthroughs at that point too.
Wednesday. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We had a lot of information, great questions. As always, when we start something new, we're always a little leery of it. I am hoping that this Parent Square is everything that was presented to us this evening. I am one of those districts who are going to be jumping on board as well, and I learned so much this evening about this, so I'm very excited to see how this goes. Thanks so much for the presentation. Welcome, Mr. Ms. Hendrickson. It's nice to see you sitting here with us. And Lori, I'm so glad to have you at the table. And Ms. Cunningham, Santina Cunningham, will be our student board rep, replacing Harper, who we will miss very much. But Santina was with us a couple of times earlier in the year, and hopefully at the next meeting she will be able to join us. Also, we'll need to make sure that Mr. Murray puts out something rather soon in the beginning of the year, so that we can get our junior waiting in place and have both of our student voices at the table. So that will be great. I thank you so much for your support. As your president, I hope to be here and work with you side by side as we have in the past. I am always here to help you guys out and also for you to help me along in the process as well. We're all very important in every seat that we are in here, and I do feel like we're going to be going in the right direction this year. We can only go up from where we were last year, and hopefully we have no snafus along the way. Hopefully we have wonderful opportunities for our students, whether it be in the classroom, on the fields, on the stage, wherever it is that they are. I am excited for them to get their rest and relaxation over the summer. It's good to hear that the first couple of days have gone well so far for our summer school programs. And I'm just excited to get through I don't want to get through, I want to enjoy my summer break, but, be able to relax and then everybody to come back. So to all of our staff out there who may not be working in the summer school, I hope that they are having the relaxation and the family time that they need and deserve. And with that said, we're going to just go ahead and move along to adjournment. We do not have executive session this evening. So if someone wants to move adjournment.
Move it.
Somebody want a second?
I'll second it.
You'll second it?
Want to keep going?
It's only 7 o'clock.
A lot more to say, too. No? Okay.
Oh, there is public forum, but we do not have anybody signed up for public forum this evening. Thank you for asking us. Yes, you were correct. All those in favor for adjournment? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 7-0-0. Thank you so much. Everybody have a great evening, and we will see you next week. Well, not next week, in 2 weeks.
I want